welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a postpartum update. We're going to be talking about what happens after you have a baby, kind of like what to expect, and then all of the products and essentials that I used for recovery, what I purchased, and then what the hospital sent me home with. If you want to know what happens after you have a baby, if you're pregnant or just curious, then I would continue to watch this video. But if you don't, then I probably would exit out because we're going to be talking about a lot of fun things today. So since there is a lot to cover, let's just go ahead and jump into the video. I am first going to start by talking about birth and what happens right after you have your baby. So to recap everything, if you guys saw my birth vlog, you may know a little bit about my experience, but I didn't go in depth about everything. So I decided to get an epidural. Natural birth just wasn't really something that I knew I was going to do. I always knew that I was going to get an epidural just because I wanted the experience to be not painful, and I just wanted to like be there and be focused on not the pain, basically. So I was fairly happy with the epidural. I didn't feel anything painful during birth. Right at the very end, I did kind of feel like pressure, and I would say like a mild pain, but it seriously wasn't that bad at all. The only negative thing I will say about the epidural is about 2 hours after I had my baby and it was starting to wear off, I just didn't really feel good. I didn't really feel myself, and I actually ended up fainting in the bathroom. And yeah, it was kind of embarrassing and kind of weird because I have never fainted before, and I just remember like waking up on the bathroom floor, and it was just very strange, especially right after having a baby. It was just a lot was going on. So that would be the only negative thing, but that was just my body's reaction to it. Everybody's different. Not saying that you're going to faint after you get an epidural. So right after you have your baby, what they do is they place the baby on your chest. This is a really great way to bond with your baby, and it's such a special moment. And as you're holding your baby, you're so distracted by the baby that you don't really know what else is going on. And while you're holding your baby, the doctor is actually working on stitching you up and basically putting you back together down there. So I really didn't notice that I was getting any stitches or anything like that because I was just like so focused on my new baby. So right after that happens, they also, I don't remember if they just pull it out because I don't remember pushing it out, but right after your baby comes your placenta, which is completely disgusting. I decided to look at it, which, I mean, I'm not like scarred or anything, but it's pretty gross. So they pull that out, and then right after that, they start like stitching you up and stuff. So I did tear a little bit, but I would say the doctors did a very good job of just kind of like helping me out so that I didn't tear that much, which was so nice. I seriously appreciate my nurse so much for that. I had internal tears. I don't think I had any external ones. So I did have stitches like internally, and to be honest, I never looked down there. I don't know why. I was just like kind of scared. I just wanted to wait for everything to heal before I did. So I really didn't like see what everything looked like until 1 month. And by that time, everything looked completely normal again. So I'm not really sure what it looked like. I don't know when my stitches fell out. I didn't notice it at all. So right after they finish up everything and stitching you up and all that, you get to bond with your baby and do what they call skin to skin. So basically your baby's just laying on your chest and you just get to bond with them for, I would say, about 2 hours, and then they take your baby and, you know, do like the weight check and the measuring and all that sort of stuff. I know every hospital's different, but this was just what my hospital did. And then at that point, after about 2 hours, you get moved to your postpartum room. So by the time I moved to my postpartum room, my epidural had not completely worn off, because I do remember like one of my legs was still kind of like not fully functioning that great, But even if the epidural does wear off, they do wheel you up to your room. So you don't really have the option to just walk up to your room, and you probably don't want to after you just pushed a baby out. The first day after you have your baby is weird. You just feel really weird. It pretty much feels like you got ran over by a semi truck, and your whole body is just so sore, and you feel really like weighted down and like heavy, which doesn't make sense because you just like gave birth and your baby's out of you now and you should feel light. It does not feel that way. I felt so like heavy, and when you get up to like go to the bathroom, it takes so much effort to get out of bed. For me, it was really hard, really painful, and you're just so sore. Like I couldn't even like sit up. I like literally had to be like laying down to not be like in pain. As for like bleeding and stuff, the first day, like right after you have a baby, you bleed a lot. So my hospital actually, instead of like right after I had her, instead of like using like pads or anything like that, they actually use what you use to potty train like your puppies, like those like potty pads. They laid those all over the bed, and then they actually like use that as like one huge pad, which was like so weird, but that's what my hospital did. And you're literally bleeding so much. And then you also have nurses coming in like every 2 hours, and they push on your stomach. And this doesn't hurt, but they're just trying to see like if, you know, you're shrinking back down and stuff. And every time they do that, you bleed a lot. It's like gushing out. So be prepared for that. The bleeding for me, it was pretty heavy the first week or so. And at about 6 weeks is when everything completely went away. So the first week you have like heavy bleeding, and then it kind of turns like a little bit lighter, and then you kind of have like spotting like off and on for like 6 to 8 weeks. Mine literally stopped right at 6 weeks. So by the time I had my postpartum appointment, my bleeding and spotting and all that had completely gone away. The only thing that I regret doing after I had my baby is being like active, not like working out or anything like that, because your doctor does not allow you to after you have a baby. And I feel like you don't really want to work out for a little while after you have a baby. But we did like go run errands and like walk around our apartment, and we took our baby out places, and every time I decided to do something like that, the bleeding would get worse, like when I got home, and I was just like super sore. So definitely take it easy. I feel like I didn't realize like having a baby is a lot on your body, and I feel like I was like kind of like pushing myself to like go out and be social and whatnot, and my body wasn't having it. So definitely rest and take it easy. That's like my number one advice. Another like weird thing that happens like after you have a baby is you're like completely like, I was really numb down there for a while. Like I literally couldn't even feel if I had to pee. So I would just kind of like be like, okay, like it's been a few hours, like I'm gonna go pee, but like I literally like couldn't feel it. It was the weirdest thing. So when you get an epidural, you also have like a catheter in. So I don't know if that's why that experience was like really weird, or if it was just from pushing a baby out, but it was very strange. And it took a long time to like fully feel normal down there. I would say probably like at least like 3 weeks. 3 weeks is kind of when I was like, okay, like I'm kind of starting to feel a little bit more normal. And then one other thing that I completely like didn't realize was after I got home from the hospital, you don't really realize it, but nurses are coming into your room like every 2 hours to check on you and to check on the baby. And at that time, my hospital would come in, and I think it was every 8 hours. I don't know, they had it on a whiteboard of when they were going to give me like pain meds. So my hospital would come in like every 8 hours and give me ibuprofen. So I didn't really realize like how much pain I was in until I stopped taking the ibuprofen when I got home, because I just forgot I had like nurses coming in and just giving it to me, and like it wasn't really something I was thinking about. And then when I got home, oh my gosh, I was in so much pain, and I was like, what is going on? And then I realized that I wasn't taking anything for my pain anymore. So definitely take ibuprofen. Once that wears off, it's like, all right, it just hit me that I pushed this baby out and I am hurting. Next thing I want to talk about is like what to expect with like breastfeeding right away. So when you're in the hospital, right after you have your baby, like for me, I didn't even know, but your body starts producing colostrum, which is like liquid gold, they call it. And I didn't know. The doctor came in and asked me, she was like, oh, like, do you feel like your milk is coming in? And I was like, no, I don't think so. And I actually was able to get something out, which was like so crazy. All of a sudden it just like happens. So when you start breastfeeding, I feel like the one thing that, I mean, I watched so many videos on what to expect after you have a baby. I knew everything and I really wasn't surprised at all by anything. But the one thing that I know a lot of people get surprised by is that you actually have contractions when you're breastfeeding. So that was not so fun every time you breastfeed, which is pretty frequently the first like couple days. You're really not producing like milk, you're just producing like a tiny bit of this colostrum. So you're feeding a lot. Sometimes it's every hour, sometimes every 2 hours. So every time you do that, you have contractions. So that's like really hard. I just remember like sitting there like in pain, just like trying to breastfeed and like breathe through these contractions. And you don't have an epidural anymore, so you kind of just have to tough through it and, you know, take the pain meds that the hospital gives you. Know that breastfeeding is like, it can be hard for some people. I'm not going to go into extensive information about like my experience with breastfeeding in this video, but it has been really hard for me and I wish it was easy. I'm so jealous of people that just, it's easy for them. Right when she came out and we were trying to breastfeed, we found out that she had a really bad tongue tie and it made it really hard to breastfeed. And after we even got it removed, it became even harder. So it was just a lot of work the first week and a half, just trying to figure that out with her. The last like final thing that I want to talk about is all of the products and essentials you need to get through postpartum. So first I'm going to talk about what the hospital actually supplied me when I was there. The best advice I can give you is to literally bring an empty bag just to fill up with all of the supplies that the hospital gives you. I think literally almost every hospital will let you take that stuff home with you. In fact, they like want you to take it home and you will be so glad that you did. So I did bring some of my own things to the hospital with me. If you watched What's in My Hospital Bag video way back when, I actually did bring a few things of my own, but before I even tried those, I wanted to try what the hospital gave me. So when it comes to like bleeding and all that, like what you're gonna wear, my hospital supplied these mesh underwear. If you've watched any of these videos, it's probably like all the same things, but these are pretty comfortable. Basically what you do is you just line it with a pad or two. I know some hospitals like give you like the super big ones. Mine didn't. They just gave me small ones. So the ones that the hospital gave me, this is what they looked like. They're just like super duper thick, but they're not super long. So basically what you do is you just take them and you would put them inside of here, and I would just put two, and it was like pretty comfortable. To go along with the pad, the hospital gave me these witch hazel pads, and I actually have the Tux brand that I brought with me, but this is the brand that the hospital supplied me with. So what I would do is every time I would go to the bathroom and switch everything out, I would lay a couple of these on top of the pads, and these are like really cooling, and it just honestly makes it feel so good when you're sitting on this. So I know that these also help with like burning and itching and stuff. I don't know if it was just because I had internal stitches and not the external ones. I really didn't need this for burning or itching. I feel like I was really lucky and didn't experience that. But to go along with that is this Dermaplast spray. I actually didn't use like this whole thing. I felt like I really didn't need it, and it didn't do a whole lot because I didn't have any burning or itching. I feel like the witch hazel pads were like enough where it was just kind of like cooling and just, that was good enough for me. But this was nice. I did use it, I would say the first week, and then after the first week, I just didn't really feel like it was doing too much and that I needed it, but it was kind of like cooling and kind of helped like numb things down there. And then the next thing that the hospital provided for me was just a Peri bottle. I know some people like this one as opposed to the Frida Mom one, which I have and I'll show you guys in a second. So I kept this one in one bathroom and then the Frida Mom in the other one. But I don't know, I didn't actually mind this one at all. I know some people hate this, but I really didn't mind this one. So what you want to do is basically just fill this up with warm water, and then you actually use this to kind of like wipe down there instead of wiping because you can't. So you spray this to kind of clean everything off, and then you pat it dry because you can't just use toilet paper after you have a baby. You have to be careful. And then for my products that I bought and used, so the one thing that I brought to the hospital that I didn't actually use until the day that I left the hospital. So I decided instead of like big pads to use the Always Discreet like underwear diaper things, and I actually liked these so much better. I know like everybody's different and some people prefer mesh underwear and some people prefer these. I liked these so much better. It also just like, I felt like I wasn't going to like bleed out of them because they're just literally a huge pad that covers everything. So I preferred these. They're super comfortable. I just felt like the pads and the mesh underwear were just, I don't know, I just didn't really like them that much. It was just easier to put this on as opposed to like lining the pads in there, and it was a lot of work. And then once my bleeding was like a lot lighter, I just used like the Always, I think these are the Always Infinity pads. They're like the almost like memory foam. They're just like the thin ones, and these worked perfect for me. I bought the Tux brand for the Witch Hazel pads. These are like seriously like were my best friends. Like these were so good. They're literally the same ones as the hospital, just a different brand. But again, I would put these on the pad every time I changed it out, and they were just nice and cooling and worked amazing. And then the other product that goes hand in hand with the Dermaplast was kind of like a more natural version from Earth Mama. This one did smell a little bit better than the Dermaplast just because the Dermaplast was just so like chemically, and this one kind of smelled like, I don't know, like cucumber and witch hazel, and it wasn't as like bad. But I feel like this didn't really do anything for me. Like I used it a little bit, and this bottle's like seriously like full, but I just feel like it didn't do anything. And then this is the Frida Mom Peri bottle. This one I actually preferred more because of the way that the nozzle aims. It was a little bit better. Last product that I want to talk about, the hospital didn't supply me with this size of this product. They actually gave me sample sizes, but this is the Lanolin Cream. So I talked about this in What's in My Diaper Bag video. It's basically just like a nipple cream that you use when you're breastfeeding to help prevent dried and cracked nipples. And this stuff I feel like is so useful. I mostly use it for like preventative purposes. I haven't really experienced any, knock on wood, too bad of cracked nipples or anything like that, but I do make sure to apply this at least like once a day just to kind of help prevent that. Especially the first week when you're breastfeeding, like it does take a while to kind of get used to it, and I did have a little bit of pain, and this definitely helped with that. And then for my body and experience after having a baby, it's obviously a lot on your body. So I feel like for me, the first day, it was like a little shocking to kind of see what my stomach looked like right after having her. I feel like I did kind of like shrink down a lot after I had her. My stomach just felt like so weird. It feels like so empty and hollow. Like when you like touch it, oh my gosh, it was like the weirdest sensation. It felt like there was nothing in there. And then you also have to realize, like for me, like my ribs were pushed out a little bit, especially because she used to kick me so bad in the ribs. Like everything just had to kind of like go back into its place. Even like your internal organs and all that have to like shift and move back into place. And I feel like that was like, ugh, it freaked me out so bad. But for me, when I first came home from the hospital, I definitely like went and tried on like my old jeans and stuff, and they did not fit at all. I couldn't even like get them all the way up my legs, and I wasn't expecting them to, but I just kind of wanted to see. And at that point, I was totally fine with not being my exact like pre-pregnancy weight and everything like that. For me, I was just like really appreciative and, you know, tried to really love my body for the way that it was after I had my baby, because my body gave me my baby and that was like enough for me. But after about a week, like exactly 7 days after I had her, I tried on my jeans again and they fit me, which I was not expecting, but that was like pretty awesome. Just try not to be super hard on yourself after you have a baby, because it does take time and work to get back to exactly the way things were. And if you can't achieve that right away, who cares? You just had a baby, like, you know, don't be hard on yourself. But as of right now, I think I am 9 weeks postpartum and I'm pretty much completely back to normal. Things obviously are a little bit different. My stomach is definitely not extremely fit like it was before I was pregnant, and that is totally fine with me. I am now cleared to work out, so I'm going to start working out again. I've been eating pretty healthy my entire pregnancy and even now, so I don't know. It's not imperative for me to try to lose weight or be a certain weight. I just kind of want to tone things up and be healthy, basically. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what my body looks like now. Okay, so this is going to be completely raw and real. This is what I look like after having my baby. But for those of you guys that are curious, this is my stomach. It is not perfect, but I have learned to love it the way that it is. I feel like having a baby gave me a soft heart and a soft stomach, and that is okay. I am pretty content, happy with the way that I am, and I'm definitely going to tone things up a little bit, but it's not my ultimate goal to work out and get super skinny, because I don't know, just don't really have time for that right now, and I don't really care. I'm fine with the way that I am right now, and my main concern and priority is taking care of my baby. So that's all that matters to me. So that's pretty much going to conclude it for today's video. I hope that you guys found this video useful. If you are pregnant right now and expecting your first baby, or if you are just curious on what happens after you have a baby, I hope this helped you out. I definitely made sure to educate myself a lot on what happens after birth when I was pregnant, just because I didn't want any surprises, no matter how gross or whatever they may be. I just wanted to know everything. So I really hope this video helped you guys out. If it did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and comment what was the one thing that you did not expect after having a baby down below. And if you guys do want to see my birth vlog, there are 2 parts to it. I will have those linked below as well, so you guys can check those out so you could see my experience with everything. Also, if you guys want to stay up to date on my life and my baby and everything like that, make sure to follow me on Instagram. I actually post a lot of current things on there about my baby and my journey and everything like that. So make sure to check that out. I will have that linked below as well for you guys. But that is going to be it for today's video. So I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.